Welcome back to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop from Pop Culture Talk. This is episode 177, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
Good. So yeah, another week gone by, Chris. Another good week of comics here. Some interesting things to talk about. Uh, a little hockey check-in as always during the playoff time. Our Leafs made it past the first round. Thankfully, they did a great job. Good job, boys. And on to Florida. On to Florida. The first game starts tomorrow. So very exciting stuff. What are your predictions for this one, Chris?
Got to be Leafs. Go Leafs, go.
Yeah.
You
What do
hear
you
that the meme with from Seinfeld with George or Frank Costanza?
know?
What do you think? We're coming, Florida. You think you can keep us out? I want to be in the pool house. We're gonna be on the shuffleboard deck. That's hilarious.
Because it's Del Boca Vista. Yeah, you think you
Yeah,
can keep me out of Del Boca? That is in Florida. That's right. I didn't see that meme.
it's out there. It's good stuff.
I'll have to look that one up if I get a chance. That's hilarious. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, what do you think? So, what Leafs in what 6, 5? What are you thinking here?
I want to see Leafs in. I want to see Leafs in 6. I
Yeah,
take them 5-4. I don't
yeah,
know about 7 though. 7 would be a tough game to watch
yeah.
if they
No,
made
no,
it there.
no game sevens. I'm going as far
Brad
as
Marchand back in her craw. I don't
another
know.
Chuck. Yeah, another Chuck. Now we're facing the whole family. The rat back up in our business. Yeah.
Wait, the dad going to play the next series if we win? The final boss? See the coach of the next team?
Yeah, it's ridiculous what's going on here. Yeah, it's true. We just can't catch a break. Bershon and yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah. Anyways, there you go. There's a little bit of hockey talk for you guys out there. We throw it out there because it's timely and we're fans of hockey as well. So all you guys that don't watch hockey, then you better start. No, it's okay. But we're here to talk about comics. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, everybody. Check out some of our other videos, all kinds of different videos here. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, I think JT and Rob might actually be doing a playoff check-in at the end of each round of hockey right now for the playoffs. So yeah, definitely check those episodes out if you are a fan of hockey, because I think they're going to be doing that. If I'm not mistaken, they may even be recording that in the next day or two. So definitely check the feed. That I think they're basically just going to be doing like a recap of every round, basically, of the playoffs when it's done. So yeah, they'll be talking about all the first round games that just occurred. This week on this show, this is our weekly comic book review show where we talk comics. We're going to be talking about comics that came out for April 30th, 2025. Last week, April here. Spoiler warning if you're worried about some of these things getting spoiled for you, because we're going to be talking about what happened in the books and showing off the art. You can always read your books and then come back another time. All right, Chris.
Now, before we start, though, I saw your trailer review for Happy
Oh,
Gilmore.
yeah.
I don't know, man. I hope it's good. But anyways, we're here to talk comics. Let's talk comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for that shout out. As do I, Chris. I mean, I was being optimistic, but I hope it's good. Like this straight to Netflix deal type stuff they're doing these days with these films, right? So I think if anybody's gonna pull it off, it's gonna be the Sandman, Chris. As he's referred to by some folks.
Let's see.
All right. First up, we got Godzilla versus Spider-Man #1. And I got not one, not two, but 3 covers for this one, Chris.
Oh, man, alive.
Nick Bradshaw did 3 different variants for this issue. Oh, and you got that one. Nice. I do like that one.
Well, I didn't choose this one. He had it there. I read the solicitations for this.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was something right up my alley. You know, you kind of hyped this comic up last week. So I thought I'd give it a try and see what it's all about.
The monster homage variant that he did, Nick
Yeah.
Bradshaw. And he also did this one. These two are actually kind of the same. It's like the same pose, but just different backgrounds. So you got Godzilla in the symbiote suit on this one. And then this one is just like regular Spidey with Godzilla with a standing kind of in the background. All nice covers, though. Like I was really happy. I think he only did one variant for every other issue that he wasn't the artist on. For this one, for whatever reason, he had 3 variants for that he did the interiors on. So anyways, I was happy to get them. I like Nick Bradshaw. Shout out to him. What'd you think of the issue, Chris?
Well, like I said, I bought this because of solicitations, and I think Joe Kelly wrote this,
Yeah.
and he's the one that's writing the Spider-Man right now, the Amazing Spider-Man. So thought I'd see what he could do, maybe with less editorial interference, let's say. And I don't know, this issue doesn't give me hope for the Amazing Spider-Man series. Like the things that really got me in the solicitation. Okay, he's right back from Secret Wars. Mary Jane, he's dating Black Cat. Mary Jane is still in the picture. I had a great artist, so I thought, we could, at the very least, you could write a story with something to do with these three, with that little triangle they had going there. And like the only thing that came to me was just a lot of low hanging fruit in any of the interactions between them. First they're very catty toward each other, and then when they got to start saving each other, they have a few panels with them being sort of, kind of almost friendly. But outside of that, the story with Godzilla wasn't too bad. It's got Spider-Man in a symbiote suit, and I guess Godzilla's, being attracted to the symbiote suit because I guess they always say Godzilla comes there when there's sort of an imbalance of power, and I guess Godzilla
Yeah.
sensed the power of the symbiote. Somehow they got a few panels with Null in there. I don't know what that was about and how that worked its way in. But I like the scream that came out, and it kind of shook the suit off Spider-Man, and the suit went after Godzilla. And had a venomized Godzilla. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, he used the Shocker's platform thing essentially to like send out like a pulse of some sort. That's what it was, I believe, right? It was the Shocker. He's like when he's fighting him at the start, he's like on these like on this flying device type of thing, and he used that thing to basically create something that blow the symbiote off of
off Godzilla.
Yeah.
First Godzilla shook it off him, and then he had to shake it off Godzilla, and then it seemed like Godzilla was grateful for that. So it's always nice when Godzilla, recognizes game, as they say.
Yeah.
And it kind of leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger that's going to go nowhere. But it was an okay story, but I thought they could do more with it.
Yeah, I think he was purposely leaning into like the kind of some of the schlocky kind of dialogue and the like it felt like he was trying to do like an old school throwbacky type of story of sorts. But then, like you said, like you pointed out, then they're mixing in certain modern elements. He somehow tried to tie the Null storylines.
Yeah, Eddie Brock is in there somewhere.
Right. That was kind of fun. Listen, I'm not saying you should sit here and take this book seriously at all because you shouldn't, but this was just a lot of dumb fun in my mind. Like I had fun with it. It definitely, it's not the best thing out. I think it had really good art in terms of obviously the Nick Bradshaw art. I thought he killed it, and it had some fun moments. But as it stands, yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I don't think it's like it's amazing yet. I did find it fun at times. And then in classic Godzilla fashion, like all these one shots have been ending after this whole exchange happens. He shimmies back into the water.
Yeah.
He's like, my job here is done. He just like, he just goes to, and then we get left with this cliffhanger that's never going to get resolved about Eddie Brock becoming some sort of god venom of some sort, which I don't know what the hell was going on there. But I feel like he was just leaning into the wackiness of whatever kind of throwbacky old Spider-Man tale he was trying to tell here. I think it was purposely supposed to read like maybe like one of the older comics in that sense. I think that's what the feel that the vibe that he was going for with this. But whether or not that was successful, or whether or not you guys would enjoy something like that, you might just read this and think it's straight up trash. But for that matter, I think it had some fun moments and the art was good. That's all I'll say about this one. I did like the jabs between the Black Cat and Mary Jane, though.
I figured they could have found at least one way to get a nice big panel of them all together, doing something.
Yeah.
Something like a little wow page, a little Carlos Gomez action in there or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They had just little panels. The focus, I guess, is mainly on the whole Godzilla business of it all. But yeah. So what'd you give this, Chris?
I have 3.5.
You know what? It sounds like I had a little bit more fun with this than you, and I love the art. I'm gonna give it extra points for the art. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Maybe not deserving, but yeah, I like the Bradshaw art that much. We don't get it that often, right? So I'm gonna give it. I might have given it lower without it. If it was any other artist or very few other artists, I'll say I would probably have given it. There's only very few artists I think that could have drawn this where I would have given it the rating I give. So there you go. Hell Hunters #5, which concludes the series.
I got my copy here.
Yeah.
This is okay. It was, I guess, the final there. So there's sort of no surprises. They beat whatever Bruckner and his his ice kaiju or whatever it was that they were fighting. They have the Ghost Rider, the 44 Ghost Rider. He's has a Hellfire plane there or something. And, everybody's working their weapons. I do like the story, or sort of the tone or the beat of the story, where they don't want to really use those Hellfire weapons too much, because every time you use those Hellfire weapons, there might be some sort of price to pay. I was hoping for more crazy Bucky, but Bucky seemed to be a little more self-controlled in this issue. That was one of my favorite things in the previous issues. And and they kind of won, and I think I like the little epilogue at the end to kind of see what happened to them. It didn't sort of close the door on this series, but I guess they said that's it for now. Where they're all kind of getting written up or dressed down by the general or something in the back there. That was kind of fun, but I thought they could do more with that too.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that I don't feel like they really upped the ante in terms of this being the conclusion of the series, but I did enjoy the whole thing the whole way through. It was a fun mini series. I thought, again, with good art, Adam Gorham doing the interiors on this one, and some fun moments, some fun characters. I think the highlight of the series was either the issue before or the one before that, like you said, with some really great Bucky moments that we got in the middle of the mini series, but I don't think they were really ever able to recapture how much the book was hitting with what had occurred in those issues. Right. So I think, like, as a conclusion, they kind of had to just wrap things up here. Right. So, but yeah, cool, fun war story with supernatural elements and fun characters and good art. Hey, this was a nice miniseries.
Yeah,
No
I have no
complaints.
complaints about this.
No, and I believe I pre-ordered the trade paperback of this because I just read this digitally.
Yeah.
But I liked it enough to pick it up in a collection. So yeah, I think that's it's got that going for it as well. I think if you guys skipped this one and it sounded interesting to you at all, definitely go check it out because Chris said, like, they left it open to possibly more adventures in the future with this team. You never know. Um, there has been a lot of stories being told with these Hell characters lately, mostly by Percy, which this one wasn't, right? This was Philip Kennedy Johnson, I think, that wrote this one, right? Who actually did. I think he did serve in the military, in the American military. I think that's like why he writes so much, I feel like, about the military stuff in his comics, is that he actually served, from what I understand. I think I heard him on a podcast or something talk about it. So yeah, so pretty cool. What'd you give this?
I give this 3.75, and the series as a whole, I give a 4.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, on the series and on this issue. Yeah, so good stuff. And then we're going into basically the first of our tie-ins here to One World Under Doom. We got with Fantastic Four 31, Chris. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, so we got Ben Grimm trying to get his powers back, or it seems that, I don't know in the lore there, if one of them lose their powers and all of them start slowly losing their powers. I don't know how that sort of works, but I guess that's what's happening.
They mentioned that Zdarsky actually wrote that in his Marvel 2-in-1 series that he did before Dan Slott's series on Fantastic Four, who was the writer before Ryan North. So this happened some years ago now. He did like a 12-issue series with the Thing and Johnny, the Human Torch, that I read and enjoyed. And at the time, they shelved Fantastic Four for a period because I guess they didn't have the movie rights, so they were like stopping to do the comics. So then this was their attempt to basically put a comic out that was Fantastic Four adjacent, just with two of the characters. Because after Secret Wars, Reed and what's her name there, Sue, something happened to them at the end of Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, so they got shelved for a while, right? So
Yeah.
that's I guess that's what they were saying in the editor's notes. So I just wanted to add that. I guess Zdarsky established that when they aren't together all together, they lose their powers. So that was interesting to me. But anyways, go on.
Yeah, and I guess they have the thing just trying to get his powers back, and they decide to use some sort of time machine or go back to all these pivotal moments in the multiverse, and it just doesn't seem to work. And then doesn't Ben kind of just go, well, let's just go back to my own universe, and doesn't tell everybody else, and he gets bathed in the cosmic rays, and then it seems the ones that he absorbs doesn't leave enough for the actual Fantastic Four to get them, so they don't get them. So that leaves you on a bit of a little Back to the Future type of situation where they've kind of changed the timeline. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. It can't play out well.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. I like this as a nice little one shot happening during the events of the of One World Under Doom. I think that they've really been getting the short end of the stick out of everybody, even though, like, I feel like everybody else is favoring the fact that Dr. Doom has taken over. A lot of big fans of his happening right now, and the Fantastic Four so far in their tie-ins and in the main series, it just seems that they've tried to join in on trying to discredit Doom because it's Doom, one of their longest foes there, and it seems like they just keep getting into these bad situations. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? First thing, loses his powers, and in this one, when he tries to get it back, he screws over his own team, his own family there. So, not good. But I am interested to see where it's going. I think these tie-ins have been really good, and what I think that's really good about these tie-ins, because Ryan North is doing the main series as well, is that each of the tie-in issues, although obviously involved with the event, aren't direct. Like, they aren't really, they're not with him every issue. Like, they're actually telling their own
story. I think what's happening going on in the world during this time under Doom, not like directly attacking him or anything,
Right. So many times I've seen writers that are writing the event and the main title literally just make that an extension of the story that's being told in the main title.
Yeah, instead of it being like, monthly on One World Under Doom, be bi-weekly, because it'd be in this and Fantastic Four.
Exactly. And he's not doing that here. So like, I think when you run into doing that, you end up like having a lot of repetitive moments as a result, right? And this is like its own thing right now. So I really appreciate Ryan North's approach to doing it that way, because I think you can just read this and get an enjoyable story. You don't have to be reading One World Under Doom, honestly. You can just be reading Ryan North's Fantastic Four. So good on him for doing it that way. I think it's been good stuff. What'd you give this?
I give 3.75.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a good issue. All right, Chris, you got Wolverine and Kitty Pryde #1 this week.
Yeah, I don't think I spoke too highly of this last week, but it did have one of those Marvel Capcom covers. I don't think I pre-ordered it, but he had it there, so I go, hey, I'll take it. I think he might have ordered it because he knew I was ordering these ones. And I think this story takes place after the original Wolverine and Kitty Pryde series. And I guess after that, she sort of absorbed some sort of ninja powers from, what's that, Olrun or Olgun or something. And, that's where this sort of takes place in the world. I don't know if you're familiar with the first miniseries with Wolverine and Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
Like, this was 20 years ago, 30 years ago now.
Is it from the Madripoor era, like days, like one of those, like, the first?
No, this is before that. This is like he's with like he's in Japan here, and this is where Shadowcat, or I guess where Kitty Pryde became Shadowcat.
Ogun, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm just looking it up here. Yeah, Ogun, yeah, the ninja and one-time Wolverine mentor. Yeah. Okay, I know this character. The one with
so she absorbed his powers. I guess they killed him at the end of the last one. Yeah, the guy with the little, the red samurai mask or something.
Yeah.
And I guess now she's trying to learn how to deal with these powers in this series here. It's nothing spectacular, and the art's nothing to write home about. I just bought it for the cover, so I would not recommend. But if you're a fan of that story, this kind of takes place right after it.
So this is I'm assuming also this is like one of those retro series. Chris Claremont's writing this, I'm guessing, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a sequel to the last story. Like that's the last story was sort of taken out of time too.
Yeah, the first appearance of that of Ogun was in Kitty Pride and Wolverine #2. Yeah, there you go, December 1984. So he returns this story, 41 years later. Look at that. So there you go.
I bought that original one. I got all 6 there before.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm aware of that miniseries. Yeah, that's cool. So Claremont this is one of those retro series. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, nothing to write home
Yeah,
about.
well, yeah, nothing right.
What'd you
I
give
got a
this?
3.5.
3.5? Okay. Okay. Couple of quick hits here for me. Again, going into the One World Under Doom tie-ins here. Thunderbolts, Doomstrike #3. This has been my favorite of the tie-ins, I think, by far. I actually just watched Thunderbolts this weekend. Actually, I watched it yesterday. It was good. It was
I
a
hear
good
it's good. That's very encouraging.
It was. It's probably the best movie they put out in a while. I mean, they've only had one other release this year, which was Captain America, the Brave New World one, which wasn't so good. This was really good, and it actually brought together a lot of characters I feel like they weren't really sure what to do with, but they made it work with a really solid story. And it's kind of like almost like Black Widow 2, honestly. It's got Florence Pugh there again as Yelena. Anyways, that's the movie, but definitely go check that out. This comic's very different. It does have Bucky Winter Soldier, though, on the team. And this has been an enjoyable tie-in to the event, I feel like. And in this issue, they go up against, I guess, Doom has got a bunch of the original Thunderbolts characters, an earlier version of the Thunderbolts team, a lot of the original members working for him that go up against this new version of the Thunderbolts in this one. And that's basically it. I mean, that's kind of what happens this issue. Like your old kind of like two groups of heroes fight each other. Nothing, that crazy or that interesting. And honestly, this is probably my least favorite issue of the series so far. Not to say it was terrible, but they really had like some interesting stuff going for them the last 2 issues. And in this one, it was a little bit more predictable, but some fun moments nonetheless. It was cool to see some of these other members, and where they're gonna go from here, I guess we'll see. But like again, Doom just keeps screwing over this team every turn they take. They're not able to really get one up on Doom so far in this series, this Thunderbolts team. And a lot of the reason why, they had a lot of history between these characters, between Bucky and, he is the one that I guess gave them Red Skull in the last mini series, and he basically ended up getting killed as a result. And he's basically, they have a lot of history, these two, going into this series. So there's a lot of interesting things going on still that I hope resolve in a satisfying conclusion here. Bucky's in prison at the end, and it looks like he has to dine with Doom, Chris. As you know, when he takes prisoners in his castle, he likes to feed them food at his dining table and chop it up with them. So that's what's going to happen next issue. He's now his prisoner, and he's dining with Doom the next issue. So when it ended like that, I was like, oh, yeah, great. Just like Darth Vader, he makes him have a seat at his table. Last time we seen that was with the X-Men, I feel like, during the Krakoa era. The last time we saw.
Why didn't you just do it with Storm? Storm had some dinner with him.
That's right.
With Doom too.
See,
yeah, and then the X-Men too. The X-Men were there.
Yeah, that's a common trope. Yeah, but you're right. It did more recently happen in Storm, the main series. Yeah, that she has, the ongoing series. I give it 3.5 out of 5. It was all right. Doom Academy #3. I think this is the last issue I'm reading of this. Not so good. And in this issue, they brought in another artist. Pascal Ferry is the main artist on this, who I think did some stuff during the Clea era, or maybe just the main ongoing series of Doctor Strange with Jed McKay. His art's okay. Still not my favorite, but I can deal with it. This is him here, Pascal Ferry. But then they brought on some other artists in this issue I've never heard of, and apologies, I don't have the name in front of me. And basically one of the characters gets stuck inside of a book in this. And while they're transported into this book world, the art style changes in the book world, and I didn't care for it. And that was like at least a third of the issue. And then the story itself, it seems very like the first issue didn't feel this way, but I think as the series is going on, it seems more of like an all age comic more than ever. It doesn't feel like as mature as I feel like it started out as. I don't know if they're aiming this miniseries towards more of a younger audience, but it really certainly felt that way the way it was reading, even more so than like Doctor Strange Academy and all that. So I was just like, after this issue, and this issue didn't really interest me all that much, the story to begin with. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good on this one. I don't need to know how this series ends. So I'm going to probably bow out. I'll give this a 3 out of 5 this issue. Started interesting enough, but it was more about my allegiance to Strange Academy and those characters that I read this. But it's not written by the same people, and it really isn't even focused on the same. It's not the same type of book as Strange Academy was. It only in somewhat name only, right? So I think it's a tie-in to the event. You can totally skip this one. And then you got Red Hulk #3. This was interesting. I liked this. This is kind of fun because, like I said, these guys have gotten out of this prison of doom now, and the focus is on Machine Man and Deathlock and Red Hulk. But Red Hulk isn't actually Red Hulk, even in the series called Red Hulk. He has to like basically, I guess he needs some sort of like power source in order to transform back into the Hulk, because he's so drained apparently from, I guess, being imprisoned in this cell. I don't know. Like I think it's radioactivity, or he mentioned some sort of thing that he needed basically to bring him back to like be able to transform. So he's so weak, I guess, and malnourished and everything else from being in prison and Doom's prison there. They show these opening scenes are kind of like flashbacks as he's kind of narrating how he kind of used to take care of things as the Red Hulk, but now as they cut to him and he's like, he's weakened and he's a man, he's like Thunderbolt Ross there, and he's not able to transform. So he's like really in a bad situation here for himself with these other two. And Doom basically catches them escaping at the end of last issue. And in this one, he basically just is in pursuit of them as they make their way through his Latveria there in order to escape. And that's pretty much the issue, is them just trying to they keep running into issues, trying to escape and trying to survive and everything else. And I like the exchange between Deathlock, Machine Man, and him, characters you don't really see all too often. So I tip the hat to I think it's Percy who's writing this one too, for kind of involving those type of characters in this, because again, I like to see characters that don't get a lot of shine sometimes during these events. Let's check in on some people we haven't seen in a while. So that was pretty cool too. Yeah, you know what? I like this. I give this a 3.75 out of 5. This has been an unexpected fun miniseries. And, I don't think it's must read tie-in issues, but if you like Red Hulk or you just want like a fun story, I would definitely suggest checking this one out. And then G.I. Joe Silent Missions Duke #1. This is the Wes Craig issue. This is the only one I actually picked up, even though I've been reading these digitally. And it's a great looking issue. And honestly, Wes Craig probably had the best character that you could have picked for one of these one shots. I don't know why some of them picked the other one, the characters that they picked for their stories. I don't know if they had to say or if it was editorial where they're just like, here, use this character. We haven't seen them yet in this new series. So anyways, this is the best character you could have used, honestly, for one of these one shots. And again, just like all these stories, these silent missions that they've been doing, he's on a mission. Like an extraction mission, I think, is again saving somebody or taking out Cobra in this. I think it's infiltrating a base, if I'm not mistaken. But great storytelling, great art, fun issue. I'll give this a 4 out of 5, and that's the highest I've gone for with any of these silent issues. Because again, Wes Craig, it's based on the art, these things, and you got to go with maybe the best artist I feel like we've gotten out of all these. I got to give it a 4 out of 5. And yeah, just a great storyteller. I thought a lot of the scenes were really action packed, and it's focused on Duke, a character who I have had now some experience with from reading the comic series. So it was really cool to see him in this kind of, and this was like a bloody one. This was like there was some, some crazy fighting going on in this one. Some stuff that I feel like they should really take the approach more, even in the main G.I. Joe miniseries that we've been getting, honestly. I wish Wes Craig was drawing that after seeing this issue. Great stuff. So, no slight to Tom Riley, though. I think he's been doing a great job as well. But Wes Craig, I just a big fan of his art. And that's it. 4 out of 5 for this one for me. And I think that's the end of the silent missions. Now they're done this month. And then finally, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin Re-Evolution #5, Chris. This is the conclusion of Last Ronin Part 2. They said at the end of this, I think there's going to be at least one more miniseries to continue this story. This is now continuing the story of the new Turtles, the the new younger turtles that they've grown up now and they've trained, and there's still against them. You know, what's her name? April O'Neil there, as she's older now, as being their more of their tutor, and her daughter. And you know, they're kind of like freedom fighter type people against like the this government in the future. And yeah, and basically they take some licks in this one. They lose some people, including April O'Neil. She gets killed in this issue. So we're down to basically all a bunch of new characters, really. All of the ones from the old Ninja Turtles now have died throughout the Last Ronin series. The Last Ronin character got taken out, that turtle, and now April O'Neil. Casey had already been taken out prior to the Last Ronin with the rest of his brothers. So yeah, we kind of just got now April O'Neil's daughter, and a lot of the new and the 4 new turtles that we've been following in this series. I guess we'll end out this whole trilogy, and we'll see if they can actually take these guys out once and for all in the next one. These have not been as good as the Last Ronin. That's still the best miniseries in this world. They've had the Last Ronin. They had I think it was an epilogue to the Last Ronin or something like that, or a prologue series. And this is considered the second part after the Last Ronin, this miniseries. So they've had 3 miniseries all in all, including the Last Ronin. Now, and then I think there's going to be one last one, if I'm not mistaken, to wrap this up. So still, Last Ronin's still the best one. I give this a 3.5 out of 5. It was good, but I honestly wish it could have been a bit better. And it was also very delayed because these are oversized issues. So it only came out every 2 or 3 months, I feel like. All right, Chris, Bug Wars 3.
Yeah, read this one online, and the story's still moving along. You know, I thought I was going to get a little bit tired of this, but they keep on sort of wrapping things up. And I guess we last left with what's his name, Slade. Slade was trapped in the, I don't know, the Thunderdome. I don't know what you want to call it there, with all the mosquitoes coming and attacking all his friends, and everybody's kind of betting on who's going to stay the longest or who's going to stay alive the longest. And then there you see it flashbacks to his dad playing him with his kid, and his dad is kind of teaching him, I guess, something that activates the amulet or something, because he says the magic words, and freaking by the power of Grayskull, he's got power there, and he becomes the Stomper, the World Stomper, or whatever they call him, and he's just squishing the bugs and taking care of business. So it's always fun to see someone when they're sort of down on their luck and about to die, and they get turned around and just start stomping everybody, and everybody starts kind of realizing who he is, that he's the son of the gym, and I guess the gym was his father, and maybe his father would be an in-betweener or whatever they want to call him. The only thing is you do get bogged down a lot in who's who and which worlds are what, and the spider webs and the weird web world, and kind of how the backyard really is affecting the world. But otherwise, yeah, I think the story's okay. People here want to try and get him to kill his brother, because his brother is the one that's been stomping everybody, all the bugs there. And then the ladybugs come in there to show their, I don't know, their homage to the son of the gym, and he gets distracted there a little bit, but I guess he's too young for those sort of distractions. And kind of leaves it at the end with his mother looking for him, and they're stomping around in the backyard. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a fun fantasy tale with great Mahmoud Asrar art. Although the only thing I'll add to what you said, Chris, is about those moments is like, Mahmoud, the artist on this, you got to stop drawing these sexy bug characters, man. Like at times I'm just like, oh, look at that one. I'm like, oh, it's a bug I'm looking at. I'm like, what is that? I'm not supposed to feel like, oh, look at this. There's this moment where they got the poster for these, I don't know.
Yeah, what was that poster there for? I thought it was the end of the story when this thing came up.
Nope. It's like they've done this, I think, in the last couple of issues too. They've done these like ads almost that exist in the bug world. But you're right, they'll just have a moment and then they'll cut to like a still image, and you're like, oh, okay. And then like you'll flip the page and the story will continue. And they don't really give you like any insight as to like, it's not like they turn to a poster on the wall and they're like, oh, look at this. And then
it's just popped in there. It's like, okay, That's it. Okay. Then there's more to the comic.
Right, but then like then you flip to this scene and it looks like almost like they're having like a bug orgy. I don't know what the hell is going
Oh
on.
yeah, I remember. I don't know what's going on in this world. That's like the answer or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, depending on what kind of bug you are, you have like human like features. So
Yeah,
it's very bizarre. Like these bugs have tits and stuff. I'm just like, what am I looking at here? So, you know what? It's an interesting choice. I'll give him that. It's I really like his art, and he did Conan last with Jason Aaron, so maybe he's taking some of that
yeah,
Conan energy and putting it into this Bug Wars. But I could see them honestly because I think this is only a 5-issue miniseries. They could definitely return to this, I think, if they really
yeah.
wanted to.
They don't
Something,
have to return it too quickly though. They can give us a break.
yeah, once a year, maybe. I think they could do it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it's not like they need to follow up right away. What'd you give this?
at 3.75.
Yeah, I agree. 3.75. All right, next up, we got the seasons number 4.
I just read this one online as well, and this one seems to focus on summer season. Well, first it starts out with another tale or a little story, but at least the story has something to do
Yes,
with what's going on here. It's
it ties
some wanderlust king or something. He makes a deal with some pharaoh or somebody in a sarcophagus to see the world as the way he wants it for 500 years. And the only thing is that he has to come back in 500 years and sort of replace this, whatever, this lady in the tomb. And basically, what it is, if I read this right, he just looks through that mirror for those 500 years, almost kind of looking at his reflection, and just seems to be entranced by it.
Yeah.
And even when he does, he does return in the 500 years, and he seems to be happy to go into this coffin as long as he has that mirror with him. And and that's sort of the end of that story. And then it kind of focuses on back to the world where is it autumn season? Who's sort of the main character? I forget which season it is. Spring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's kind of piecing the story
no.
together.
Yeah, but sorry, the one that's going to the ball though is Summer, the
Yeah,
model.
summer. Yeah, this one
Yeah.
focuses on summer, but I don't know who the kind of the main character is.
Autumn, I think it is.
Autumn.
Yeah.
But Autumn seems to piece this story together, and then she realizes, and then while she's figuring this out, there's that radio bulletin saying, the carnival's in town, and it seems that Summer is on her way to the carnival, and Autumn tries to go there and stop her, and then I guess she doesn't get to do it, and then there's a lot of the stuff inside the tent. It was a lot of, I think it was well written. It was sort of rhyming and all that sort of stuff, but it wasn't difficult to read. I think they spent a few too many pages on it to get to the end. But anyway, she gets chosen out of the crowd, or she was a special guest in there, and they take her in, and I guess she sacrifices her fingernail to look into that mirror. And I guess that's like kind of something that tracks for her because she was the vain sort of seasoned sister that was always worried about her looks. So
Right.
we'll see how she gets rescued from that predicament.
Okay, so no, so sorry, just to correct us here. You're right. So it is spring. The diary that she was reading was autumn's
Oh, it's
though.
from Autumn. Okay.
Yeah. And then Winter's the one that lives there with her that we've
Yeah,
already met.
Winter's the goth one.
And so, yes, and the artist one, yeah, and then Summer's this model one that's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, there we go, I figured it out. So I want to just make sure we got the names right there because there's a few of them here so far. Yeah, you know what? I think I might switch to buying the trades of this, but reading the issues digitally. Just because this is definitely, I feel like, a bigger story that's being told, like the pacing of it. I don't know if I wanted to pick up the issues and follow this, like the physical issues, but I'll read it digitally probably for the show. But I think I might just go ahead and pick up the collection of this when it comes out. I'm liking the story. I just wanted to mention that for anybody out there that are trade waiters. I think this is one that's better as a trade. I think this would be better as a big chunk as opposed to issue to issue, because I think that now we're getting into the story now. It seems like there's like some sort of long play here ahead of us, like in terms of the story that they're telling. And I don't think this is going to be a long season. Long, what do you call it? A series? Yeah. Remender has been doing like a lot of shorter ones lately, between 10, 20 issues. It seems like in terms of his series. So I think this is definitely going to be in the vein of that, honestly, like the way it feels right now. But so far, so good. I'm liking the Paul as a set art, and I find it interesting learning about the characters in the world so far. But we'll see. What'd you give this?
Yeah, it's a 3.75.
Yeah, same. And then Void Rivals 18, Chris.
Yeah, so I think in the last one, is that where we learned of sort of the secret of the peoples, let's say?
Yeah.
And I think in this issue here, you have the king and is it Darak? They kind of come to terms with each other, and he seems to agree that what his father's been doing has been worthwhile because they can't have these two teams together. And then on the other side of the coin, is it Solura or Soluna or something?
Yeah.
She's down there with that, I guess, the Cybertronian Theta, I think.
Yeah.
And then with one of the robots, and the robot seems to transfer the powers to Soluna or something. So I think that's a big deal. And I guess she's more on we got to reunite everything. So it almost seems like everything's coming full circle, like where the uniters and the dividers are going to be sort of against each other. And even though even though they were both sort of friends coming into this, so it's a nice story. But how this all relates into everything in the bigger world, they really got to start picking up the pace of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but I am glad it has a story to tell outside of that on its own merits, right? At least it's not like this story's baloney, the main story they're telling, and then there might be the chance of it tying in as what I mean. I agree with you that it could tie into it more, but I do like the fact that it is telling an interesting story outside of that about their two races, essentially. So yeah, basically they flip sides again in this. Like now that the father is finally seems like respected them enough to tell them the truth about the history of their people. It seems like he's on board with understanding that they should not be able to unite because that is going to mean a bad thing in terms of the prophecy of what happened previously with this creature thing that they basically captured, right? They basically outsmarted and were able to contain. And now with this whole situation, she's like got these like powers now that given to her by Theta, and she basically like warps through the floor circuitry and ends up in this guy's throne room essentially with the guy at the end there. And she's like, hey, let's work together now. He's like, yeah, about that. He's like, I don't know now, I don't know if we can really do that anymore, right? And then the guy's father, who's I guess their king or whatever, there, like the guy in charge, starts freaking out because she's breaking so many violations. One, for being in that throne room. Two, for using the hand droid, and all this other stuff that he starts throwing out there. And it did not end well. Like it does not look good for these guys. Whatever occurred here, and it looks like she might be taken prisoner here at the end of the day here. And then we got this whole Transformers are still kind of talking about stuff that's happening. There's your connection there. They're talking about, hey, you heard from Optimus lately? They're like, no, this is still going on, and no one's heard from them. And
I get some Energon and get back to Cybertron.
Yeah, so that's kind of it is building up. It seems like for them to return to them, and so I think that in the book of Transformers, you might see them get some extra help soon if these two make their way back together with the rest of their other friends there. So yeah, this is the moment where she went through the floor, which was kind of cool. So I did like that part, the way it ended. And he just kind of those two just like, it is like the same thing that keeps happening though in this book at the end of every arc, I feel like, because at the end of the last one, it was her against him, and she wasn't feeling this guy, and she was like, no, my people hate you. Like she's like double crossing him the whole time. Then it seems like when they're finally on the same page, the other person's like, no, it can't be. It's like this whole Romeo and Juliet forbidden love type of like story that's kind of being told in a way, even though they're not like, I'm sure they have feelings for each other now. It's not like that, the story, but it's because they're people. Like I meant from that perspective, they can't be together, these two people, right? For whatever reason. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. What'd you give this?
3.75.
Yeah, I don't know. The ending was really good. You know what? No, I'm gonna give it a 4. I liked it this week. I'm liking the story. I'll give it a little bit more because the other books we just gave 3.75 to. I think this was better than that. So I'll go 4 for this one. And then next up, a couple of other quick hits on my end here. We're taking everyone down with us. Number 2, continuing the story. Definitely check this out, Chris, if you can come across it. We're just reading this digitally. It's a 6-issue miniseries, I think. This is great. Another good issue. I really like this story. Honestly, like at the end of the last issue, the father, the evil or whatever, like the bad guy, I guess at least by this team that infiltrates his compound there is saying that he's the bad guy, and he's saying these other people are the bad guys to his daughter, but I think he was just trying to cover it up. It seemed basically like he's a prototypical kind of like Bond villain type guy. Anyways, he's got a daughter that's living there in his home in the compound there. It gets infiltrated last issue. He gets messed up in this. It seems like he gets taken out and killed. And wouldn't you know it, it looks like he's got some sort of mind transference thing that happens. And then he ends up in the robot that's like the robot guard that was protecting his daughter. And then all of a sudden, the robot guard starts talking in a way that's more like her father, not the robot guard that was talking to her previously. And she doesn't know this. She doesn't recognize this. He doesn't reveal this to her. And as the reader, you kind of got to figure out like how, like that this is what has occurred. And he basically brings her to safety. Meanwhile, there's this whole other scene with a bunch of the other, I guess almost like the I don't know, Masters of Evil, like the most powerful like bad guy group or something. I guess there's 6 of them, and the other 5 are all having this meeting talking about how this member that used to be part of their team that they haven't heard from in a while, apparently his compound is getting infiltrated, and should we help him? And everybody on the council is like, okay, yeah, let's help him out, whatever. And the one woman that's in the dark the whole time, she doesn't say anything, and at the end she just disagrees with them, like going against, like she's like, we need everybody to vote yes for this, right? And then they're like, well, yeah, technically, but come on. He's like, we should help this guy out, and she just exits the chat, like just leaves. And they're like, hello. And she basically, like the panel that has her, it just closes essentially, and it's just these other 4 guys. And it was just fun seeing all these other like villain type of characters chatting to what amongst each other. There's like 2 pages of it like this, so I had a lot of fun with that. And then, from there, you kind of get to see the daughter and the robot chatting again, and him trying to bring her to safety as these people are taking down all the guards and everybody in his compound, trying to destroy things. And he brings her to safety. And meanwhile, in an undisclosed location in the Alps, the one guy, apparently he's got like this German type accent. The writing makes it sound like he has like an accent of some sort. He's like, okay, he turns to his butler guy and he's like, where's my cape or whatever? And he's like, sir, you got fondue on it the other day. It's dirty. And he's like, oh, God damn it, or whatever, because he keeps calling it a cloak. And his like butler dude, he's like, oh, you mean your cape, sir? He's like, what do you mean cape? It's a cloak or whatever. I don't wear capes. Like, and he's like, blasted fondue. He's like, what's for dinner tonight? He's like, fondue again, sir. Like, so there's all these funny, like all this funny dialogue between the two. And he's like, blasted. He's like, all right, let's round up the troops and let's go save our friend or whatever. This guy, basically, that he's getting infiltrated at the start. And so he looks like he's gonna disobey the group and go out and try to help him out. Meanwhile, some guards find the daughter, and she looks to be in danger. And the guards get taken out by, I guess, her father as the robot. And then his second in command, he speaks with him, and he's well aware that he's in his consciousness is inside the robot. He basically gives him an opportunity to make a break for it while he stays behind. Sadly, he ends up getting killed, and the daughter's like distraught about this because this guy's the guy that basically took care of her when he was off doing his thing. So, but they get away on the lifeboat, and that's kind of how we end the issue. It looks like that compound is totally taken over, destroyed, blown up at the end. And this agency, the MIs or whatever, the agents are, I guess, after them now. And this guy just tries to escape with his daughter and tries to save her. And then there's other bad guys in the mix as well. So really great so far. I like how they're not straight up telling you the circumstances of these characters yet. You're kind of piecing things together issue to issue, but it's great dialogue and good storytelling. So it's not like you feel lost at all. And it's really stringing you along in a good way. I'll give this 4.25, honestly, even verging on 4.5. It was a great issue. Really, really liking this series. I think I definitely pick up the collection if it continues on like this way. Oh yeah, and then they come across that guy at the end there on a boat in the water, the villain who was going to go help them essentially. And then the question all along the Watchtower 6. This is the last issue of this mini series. Listen, this kept my attention the whole way through. The ending was fine. I mean, this is basically, we found out who the person was that infiltrated the tower halfway through the miniseries, and then the second half was basically been about the question trying to take down Cyborg Superman and his infiltration of the Watchtower. And in this one, she's like sees a bunch of the older questions, spirits essentially, like they basically are, in her ear and trying to guide her to be able to complete her mission here. And then there's all this Phantom Zone nonsense. She grabs like some sort of a gun from the Phantom Zone and uses it against these guys and ends up being able to take them out. And there's this whole moment where Cyborg Superman has now gotten in the heads of a bunch of the League characters in the Watchtower, and they've turned evil and are working against her. And she's able to use this gun that she got that somehow, once zapped with it, it knocks them back into their former selves for whatever reason. It's just one of those like Deus Ex Machina kind of like, oh yeah, we got to put, the toys back in the toy box. We need to find a reason of how this person could take these people out essentially. And it's like, oh, this gun from the Phantom Zone. So I don't know. That felt like such a cop out to me. I was just like, okay, whatever. And then, but at this point, it's just like, this is the last issue. And, it wrapped up and she took them down, and, that's the story of her defending the Watchtower. So I give this a 3.5. The whole miniseries, I'd give 3.5, 3.75. It was good, enjoyable, kept my attention the whole time. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be picking up the collection of this. That's an indicator you should run out and pick this up if you missed it. I think you can pass on it, or just, borrow it from the library, or, whatever, something like that.
Or other means.
What's that? Or other means.
Other means.
Exactly. Read it digitally, as we like to say around here. Detective Comics 2025 Annual #1. This was okay. This is basically Al Ewing doing a story on Tom Taylor's run of Detective Comics, which I don't know if Al Ewing has done DC work before. Oh no, Al Ewing is literally just doing that miniseries right now. Oh yeah, that's right. He's doing the Metamorpho miniseries or whatever. I think that was like the first thing he did for DC. Now we see him here on this annual story. What better way to bring somebody in on an annual story to do a story, because it's like, outside of usually the main series events. Annual can really do any of that. It can be a tie into the series or not. This was not. It's basically just Batman, a detective story essentially in this one. Al Ewing, who has a lot of weird ideas sometimes, definitely are on display here in this story. I can't even explain this one to you. It started off quite simple, and then as the story went on, it went off the rails for me. I feel like I lost track of what was going on in this one, but there's definitely some interesting things happening here in the story. It started off really well, and I thought I was going to be coming here and raving about it, but the way that it ended halfway through, even though halfway through the story itself, I was a little confused. He threw a little bit too much out there. I feel like Al Ewing's first attempt at Batman, if this is that, I think there was some good stuff here, but at the end of the day, it was not great, but it was okay. I'll give it a 3.25, the annual. And then there was another backup story that was like, even I was less interested in. And of course, because it's an annual, you get a couple different artists here as well of varying degrees of quality. And again, it's a mixed bag. So I think as an annual, you can skip this one if you're more into reading the ongoing series from Tom Taylor. I thought Taylor was doing this, or I probably wouldn't have pre-ordered it, because I feel like I usually only like it when the writer is writing the annuals. If it's other people coming in and writing a story, it's not really worth it normally for me. It's an increased price tag, right? So
they gotta get rid of these annuals. They're never good.
I know. And then Batman Superman World's Finest 2025 Annual #1. I will say, even with that comment, though, Chris, this was decent. I did like this. But this is a direct tie-in from Mark Waid to this We Are Yesterday crossover event between World's Finest and Justice League Unlimited. And this actually was written by Christopher Cantwell. So Wade didn't write this. I guess he plotted this and he wrote the script for it. Cantwell, who I do like his work. And I did like this. I think this felt in line with the crossover so far, continuing the story. It kind of gave you a look of him, Grodd, now trying to get the rest of the villains on board, basically, to work for him in this plan that he's had against the Justice League, the Legion of Doom type characters. And he had some other artists doing the art on this one, more of a cartoony style, I would say, a little bit. I dug it, though. It was a good, enjoyable issue. And as another piece to this crossover, I think it worked out well. This is kind of what I think if they do an annual as an extension, even by bringing in another writer, if it works into the ongoing story and they use the annual opportunity to kind of tell a bigger story during an arc, I think that's kind of where, that's the way to do the annuals. None of this, like, here's a guest writer coming in and they can do some Joe Blow story, as Chris likes to put it sometimes. But yeah, this was good. I liked this. I give this to 3.75 out of 5. I'm looking forward to the next one, which I guess it's going to continue in Justice League Unlimited now. Oh yeah, and Christopher Cantwell is the guy who did the Plastic Man miniseries, that Plastic Man No More. So seeing him write a scene with Plastic Man and this was kind of fun too. I did enjoy that, but he wasn't as dark as his other series. He was much more jokey and respected in this one. not like the other one where they're like, "Oh, you're in the room. I forgot. Hey there, Plastic Man."
Makes a
Anyway.
joke. What? No, we're talking serious here.
All right. So next up we got Rogue the Savage Land #4, and I got 3 covers for this one too, Chris. What do you got there?
I've got the A cover.
I got the A cover. I got the J. Scott Campbell cover, and I got my favorite of them, that artist he told me about that's doing that other. I forgot their name.
Yeah, Ivan Talavera or something.
Yeah, great cover.
Nice cover.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the bunch. But yeah, what did you think of this?
I don't know. I think this story's running out of steam.
Yeah.
Like they needed some surprises in here. They should have added some surprise character or something.
Yeah.
It's just them freaking walking to this tower and running into blood. I guess the big deal is I don't know why Magneto's sort of losing or his powers are on the fritz. And I don't know. This is only 5 issues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if this is like the penultimate issue, I was expecting, something to get you jazzed for the next issue. But let's go. I'll just take the next issue, get a nice cover again, and wrap it up.
Agreed. I liked a lot of the covers that they've been doing during this mini series, so I'm happy about that. And the story was okay for the most part, but you're right. I think this issue is getting a little long in the tooth. I think I'm ready for them to bring it home, which they will be. So I'm fortunate for that this isn't an ongoing series. They brought in a different artist, I feel like, for this issue, which I did like. I like the art in this. Yeah. It kind of straying away more from the cheesecakey-ish vibe they had.
Maybe that's the problem here.
Yeah, it could also be that. Yeah, but
it's not enough cake, not enough cheese.
Yeah, because the story. Yeah, I think there you go. I think that's the problem. I think we hit on it. Yeah, I mean, this is just, again, this doesn't take place in current continuity, so it doesn't matter any of this stuff. But I think it's been better than most of these miniseries, at least for the most part overall. But I think you were getting to the end here, and I think it's 1 issue too many. This one, I think, if it was like a 3-issue miniseries, I think we would have been.
That would have been perfect. I guess can't fit a 3-issue series in a trade paperback or anything.
Yeah. So, what'd you give this?
3.5, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I may even go 3.25, but 3.5. Yeah, I like the art on this one. So yeah. Next up we got Weapon X-Men #3.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this either.
Yeah.
It sounds good on paper, but the execution of this story, it's just not hitting. Like where the hell does this Baron von Stricker or whatever get all this adamantium? Like that stuff's supposed to be like the rarest stuff out there, and he's building freaking an army of freaking adamantium soldiers there. You know, as well, at least in this issue, you know, the team gets back together. I did like the stuff with is it John Proudstar? Is he Warpath or is I don't know what his
Yeah,
name is here?
that's his
Yeah,
name. Yeah,
yeah. So at least he gets to go on a rampage there. So that was fun to see. But otherwise, you know, I think the story wrapped up here. I don't know how many issues they got left. From what I hear, this was supposed to be an ongoing series, and it's already wiped out after 2 issues, 3 issues out. So I don't know. This is just not living up to its potential with the characters they have there.
Yeah, I remember the first issues. I kept getting confused the first couple of issues between this series and the other Wolverine and Deadpool series that Benjamin Percy is doing. And that one, because it had like a lot of the same characters and elements in terms of like Wolverine, Deadpool, and X-Force stuff going on, or whatever you want to call this team, as they keep
Yeah.
making jokes about in this one. The fact that they're now called this Weapon X-Men, that Wolverine is begrudgingly
Yeah.
now saying at the end of this one.
And if this was an ongoing series, like what's happening with him and Uncanny X-Men? Like,
Right.
isn't him and Rogue supposed to be on the same team and that they're just chatting in a bar there?
This whole era is a mess, honestly. And
Yeah.
I just don't see the need for this series. This series is not like, it's not giving me a good excuse to want to
When they
continue.
had miniseries written over, I don't know why. Who would have thought that this should have been an ongoing series?
Yeah, I agree though. It's just not hitting the mark for me. I think like you said, on paper it sounds good. This could have been something, but it's not. And yeah, I love this issue. Honestly, my least favorite issue so far. So what'd you give this?
Yeah, 3.25.
Yeah. Yeah, hit the nail on the head. Yeah, 3.25. All right. So in our last book here, we got Ultimate Spider-Man number 16, Chris.
Ultimate Spider-Man 16.
I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this one, man. It's quite the swerve. I'm interested to hear what you got to say about this. I know how you feel about
Bogey wasn't dead.
Yeah, you did say that. You did say that, but I just know normally you hate this kind of thing where they don't commit to a death of a character. But you're right. You did say from the start that you weren't believing that what they said about him dying. Yeah, I remember that. I thought he was. I thought they actually killed him. But go ahead.
But I don't know, this series or this issue, no Spider-Man in it. I can't be happy about that. But otherwise, I thought this was a great issue. Just like the whole history of what's going on there with what's that, Liz Allen? Or no, that's Gwen Stacy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, with Gwen Stacy and kind of her history and how she's sort of part of the Mysterios, and now that there's 5 Mysterios and they kind of passed the power of the Mysterios going through. It's just I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like I just think it's good. I'm invested in these characters. I'm happy to read what they got to say, and and there's still big things happening. I think doesn't like Mysterio pull the trigger on Craven in this one, and I'd like to say he's dead. I hope he stays dead, but somehow I think he's going to have some mystical potion in his bag that probably brings him back to life. But otherwise, like I say, I was interested in the whole story and how Harry didn't know what Gwen Stacy was up to and what she was part of, and now that she is a part of this, you don't know how she fits into the Sinister Six. Are they out to get them now? Are they going to be sort of
I think
like
so.
allies to Spider-Man, or what's going on? It just leaves so many questions open there, and I'm ready for more. Like I can't wait till they kind of all come back together again.
Yeah, I love all the backstory about her being part of this Mysterio cult, like this group essentially. Like that whole storyline of them revealing all that and getting into it and explaining it all in this issue. It was great. That stuff I loved. I just wasn't sure how you were going to feel specifically about the fact that they didn't commit to killing Harry Osborn, which we thought was dead. But you're right. You were calling bullshit on that even from back then. And the way they were even treating the fact that he was dead, I was questioning, I remember on the show, is just like, I don't know, they haven't really like followed up on it in a satisfying way. So maybe that was like a clue as well, that there was other parts of the story that were left untold at this point. And just the way that he kind of explained it all in this issue, I thought was really well done. And it even flashed back to moments where I had forgotten about all the discourse between those characters on the Sinister Six on the battlefield, like what was going on there between the Mole Man and Mysterio, how they spoke to one another, and
Yeah.
how he said he knew about certain stuff about Mysterio. And like it, so now it really just makes a lot of sense what went down, but not in a messy way where you're like, oh, get the hell out of here with this. Like,
Yeah. And the stuff even with Otto Octavius, like since Harry was missing, he was, then Gwen Stacy was being followed like as part of the protocol. And then, he gets fired. So, he's up to something there, and something's gonna happen with him. So there's just a lot of stuff that's going on that's just interesting to me.
Yeah, and also like again, Mysterio was in the mix, so like I should have known that something was afoot there because it's Mysterio, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
But
right,
you never, like, I've never thought who was Mysterio. Mysterio is always just
right.
Mysterio, and then
But
they
this
put
is
in
the
put in this new wrinkle.
ultimate universe, right?
Yeah.
So like he kind of play this is what's been great about this run. Like you said, it is still good. It was our book of the year last year, but the thing that's good about it still is that Hickman knows how to play with our expectations as longtime Spider-Man fans in this book.
Yeah.
Like he really does. And like I feel like at a certain point you'd feel like this would be more predictable or that we could see it coming from a mile away, but it hasn't been. It actually has been still really enjoyable the way that the story has been unfolding to the point where, I came into this book maybe not knowing how I was going to feel about this discussion or how I felt about the book overall. And here I am ranting about how much I enjoyed it. So it's just like, it's just one of those books. It's always really good, man. I can't fault it for trying to do this to us and fool us the way they did. And yeah, it looks like Craven might have gotten killed in the aftermath of this
Looks
whole
like it.
situation, right? So, yeah, so very cool. Like this whole time so now Harry's kind of talking about with her about how he's dead to the world at large, but he's not, and how he's gonna move out there now, like in his
Yeah.
life, right?
He's
Like
the
it's
lethal weapon now when they think he's dead. Advantage Harry Osborn.
honestly, the fact that these two are working together are even worse than, than Harry Green Goblin on this point because, she's got like she even buys her that book that's like the Dr. Voodoo book that in this
Yeah,
that
I
like
suppose they kind of realize the way the world should be. So they're like, at least the Mysterios seem to be working
yeah,
for the greater good. Like they want to try and restore the world as it should be.
right.
So when this Maker does show up, they got to be against the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I just want to see how everything's going to play out.
What'd you give this?
I'm giving it a 4.5. I love this.
Yeah. I agree. It's just, I almost feel like it's like the same thing every time with us with this book, but it's just been that good. I mean, it's hard not to, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah, but yeah, 4.5 out of 5 this week. It was a great issue. I'm just glad you didn't get turned off by that moment. I wasn't sure how you would feel about that because I know sometimes you don't like when people commit to these fake outs where they're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, this person's not dead actually, right? I know sometimes they're like, yeah, have the balls to actually kill this character, right? But the way they explained it was well done. So yeah, good job. Yeah. So all right, that's gonna do it for the books this week that we wanted to talk about that we read. Chris, what are you planning on checking out next week?
Let's see. So it's for the week of May 7th. The Ultimate Wolverine number 5, and that's been pretty good. I think I'm getting X-Men 16. There's a variant cover there. We got some of those Alex Ross covers coming. Amazing Spider-Man 3. It's on thin ice. Probably Read Storm 8.
Yeah.
All New Venom 6. I'm all in on the all new Venom. That's for sure. We're gonna find out how Mary Jane and Venom sort of do the deed, I guess. I might try and read the Fantastic Four fanfare. I know it's Spider-Man Wolverine. I hear this is an ongoing one too. I don't know how they're making this an ongoing.
The Carrie Andrews one?
Yeah,
Since when? I think it was solicited as a miniseries
I
originally. And
hope
then,
it's only a miniseries,
yeah, same.
but we'll see there. And let's see from DC. I'll be reading Absolute Superman, Absolute Green Lantern. Yeah, if I got some time, maybe Birds of Prey. See what's checking in with them. Black Canary, Best of the Best. See what's happening there. Is that 6 of 6?
Yeah, last
The
issue.
Black Canary, yeah. See how that plays out. There's a lot of good stuff about this Resurrection Man, but I'm not reading it. And let's see what's going on in the Image. Oops. What the heck? Hold on. Yeah, the Grommet 7. That might be it from Image. Maybe Scorched. See what's checking with their world now. They got all their powers back. Oh, the Moon is Following Us too. Is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, so not that much that I'm picking up physical releases of, I think, next week. I got Amazing Spider-Man 3, The Return of Farmhand, which I don't even feel like I talked about on the show because it's been on for a couple of years. So that's a series that's wrapping up. It's in this last arc now from being on hiatus for a long time. I'm a big fan of. Kea, Moon is Following Us, number 9, comes out next week. Ultimate Wolverine. And yeah, X-Men 16, which I got that Alex Ross timeless variant as well that's coming out. I think it's a Captain Marvel cover, comes out next week. I got that one. But I think that's about it in terms of issues that I'm picking up next week. But then there's a lot of things I'll be reading digitally, as Chris mentioned, some of them, like the Marvel Fanfare. And let's see what else I got here quickly. I should mention it was Free Comic Book Day this past week. There was some releases from like the big publishers that are new material, maybe even leading into summer stuff. And if we get the opportunity on next show, we might be talking about some of those as well. So just gonna throw that out there. I mean, I got my issues. Did you end up picking up anything, Chris, or no?
I don't know. Do it. I doubt I'll get anything from my store, but who knows? Maybe they threw a few in my box. At least some of the good ones. I mean, last year I got a whole whack of all the wacky ones, and I didn't even go through most of them.
Yeah, there was like, they had like the Marvel one and the DC one. And so like those are the ones that I figured were worth talking about here. Batgirl 7 comes out, and then we got Absolute Green Lantern and Superman come out next week. I might be checking out some of that. Birds of Prey, Black Canary, Best of the Best, JSA, a lot of DC stuff. I just read digitally now here, these things. So been definitely making some cuts here lately. So and the stuff I pick up the issues of here. And then Image, like Chris said, Grommets. I think that's it for that. Other than the other Image books I mentioned, I'm picking up. Oh yeah, Grommets I'm also picking up. Sorry, I missed talking about that. And then Marvel, the Fantastic Four Fanfare. I don't know if there's much else. Maybe I don't know. Seems like it's getting to be a big week, so maybe not. But Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe one last time. I did like the first issue. That was fun, but it was on a late week originally. Psylocke, I stopped reading. Storm number 8 for sure. Yeah, and that's about it. It looks like for Marvel. So, all right, Chris. Favorite of the week, Chris.
Well, I think this is an easy week. To pick one. 5th week.
Yeah.
I'll put it out there.
Yeah, I will say though, if it wasn't this, it would be that what's it called? We're taking one down with us. That was really good this week, but it's undeniable. It was one of those things where like I'm trying to feel out some of these other books, see if one of them has a chance. Just because I feel like whenever this comes out, it's our favorite. Although no, maybe the last couple ones haven't been always, at least not for both of us, but. Yeah, this was such an interesting turn in the story this week. You got to give it up to Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, the last issue wasn't the greatest. That's the one where they're at the trailer park and with the Sandman or something.
Yeah, but I think but like I said, this is coming fresh off of it being like I think our most picked and favorite book of last year. And hey, the book's good, it's good. What are we gonna do, right? We're not gonna lie about it. So for us, it's been great and it continues to be great. So there you go. Ultimate Spider-Man 16 is our favorite of the week this week. And look forward to checking back in with us next week, as always, for more comic book discussions and reviews. Also, if you guys missed it in the feed, we recently came out with our new comic book solicitations video for July, where we talk about the books that are going to be coming out from publishers in July that we're looking forward to picking up. And we kind of, we look through some of the covers and talk about the books and all that. So that's always a good time. Make sure to check out those videos. Those are in our playlist as well of Comic Shop Talk. So, all right, Chris. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks as always, and we'll see you guys later.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.